Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a very special guest. Unfortunately, we wanted to record this outside because we are in Paris, but it's been raining on and off, so unfortunately, we are just inside at the moment. Without further ado, this is Isha Patel.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Am I holding this correctly?
Yeah, I just want to make sure your volume's good. Okay, what's up, man? How's it going? Firstly, how are you?
I'm good. We hung out all day.
Yeah, no. We have to act
Oh,
like
for
you
them.
just
Okay.
flew in for this.
No, I'm
interview.
good. Yeah, thank you for flying me out to Paris for this.
Yes.
I had been requesting this trip for a very long time. We have no jobs to pay for this.
Don't tell them that.
Oh.
So firstly, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, expound upon that. How's it going? So I did say we are in Paris. How's that going for you?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I got hailed on today. That was really random. But otherwise, I've liked walking amongst the
Yeah.
shops and eating and drinking.
We're gonna get on that note. Cheers, madame.
Cheers.
So obviously with every podcast, we normally have some topics to cover, interviewing the guests, kind of talking about some general concepts, diving into things with another lens, another background, and being in Paris. This is my first time here. And I wouldn't say it's a culture shock because I've been to London a couple times. I have now been to Italy in the same year. You get to witness a lot of backgrounds, a lot of culture, how people are, how people be, how people eat. You yourself, you grew up traveling quite a bit, correct?
Correct, yeah.
You mentioned to me earlier that you guys would spend every summer, winter break traveling the world.
Yeah.
Is this something that was pushed on more by your mom, your dad? How did that who would plan these trips? Kind of give me the rundown of how that was.
Yeah, I think it was my mom. We would just know to not make any plans during a certain time frame, which was always like Christmas or a certain time during summer. Most summers we spent in London with our family there. And then we would do like a side trip or something like that. But she would plan these like detailed 10-day itineraries that would start at like 6 a.m. and at 8 p.m. And then, I mean, it was great. We saw a lot of the world.
Yeah. Did she travel much when she was a youngin?
I mean, other than she moved from like India to America, I don't think they traveled that much internationally. I think they did a lot of domestic travel, and her parents always loved traveling. So even like when we were kids, my grandparents, my mom's parents, would travel all the time. And so I think they would tell my parents about it, and then my mom would be inspired to go to some places.
Yeah, because I find it very interesting, right? When we compare like the backgrounds, you traveled quite a bit. I didn't travel like that, right? You said you saw family, and that's what our summers kind of consisted of. But it's not like my parents didn't like traveling, right? It was just like there was just a different focus, I guess. I don't know whether it was just like, oh, we didn't know what there was, how to do it, kind of the exercise of it, because my mom didn't like traveling, and as you know now, she loves traveling. It's almost to the point where it's like, oh, why didn't we do this sooner? Like we did a couple of trips, right? We did India for extended duration. We did London a handful of times and did like little outskirt parts of it, but it was never like this where you've been to Australia, India a handful of times. What's like the most unique place that you feel like you've been to before you were an adult?
I guess we spent Christmas in Bethlehem. I thought that was really interesting just because it's not even like a Christian city. So there was not even a Christmas celebration happening there. It was like a very Muslim gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very interesting. And then I think the cab driver wanted to take me as an exchange for a cab ride. I don't remember if that was the cab guy or the camel guy, but one of them wanted me like to marry them. And
How old were you at the time?
I think I was in high school.
So okay, so what is that?
Youngin.
14 to 18. So they were like, "Oh, will you be my bride and I'll give you
Yeah.
a camel ride?"
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah, okay. That's So was that the weirdest kind of like encounter? Did you even know what was going on? Or was your mom offended? How did that go down?
No, I think we all just thought it was funny. Like, no, thank you, but I'll pay you instead.
I'll give you plenty of money instead.
Yeah.
Um, do you still have the same inclination to travel now?
I guess not as much. I feel like there's different types of travel. I really like just being in a place and experiencing it. I don't need to see everything there. I don't need to eat everything there.
Yeah.
I'm also really good with just like making food in an Airbnb in a place for most of the meals and then having like one meal out a day. I just like to kind of like walk around and see things, but I don't feel the need to go to like every corner of the world. Like a 20-hour flight sounds so miserable to me.
I feel like travel's changed a bit. It's much more laid back now, to an extent, I guess, right? Like it depends how much you've done already in your life. But like you were mentioning how you would go somewhere and you'd have like a 5-day itinerary, 6 a.m. to like 8 p.m. and you'd go, see this, do this, see this, do this. And now I've felt like you kind of go somewhere, and maybe it's an age thing, right? Maybe it's like our parents that have more of our moms more so. Let's be specific, right? Our dads, our moms more so where it's like, okay, we need to have a planned agenda. I need to know what the plan is. I need to be able to see everything,
Yeah.
and do everything, eat everything before we go back. Where we, like I said, we're in Paris. The only thing I mainly wanted to see was the big boy himself, the Eiffel Tower. Big girl himself? What gender?
Herself.
The Eiffel Tower. And I will say, it was pretty like, it was not mesmerizing, right? It's not mesmerizing.
You did stare at it for quite a while.
I took a lot of pictures. It's
There were so many pictures.
I turned into a child, where it's this feeling of, oh shit, like I didn't think I would see this. I never planned on seeing this.
Just
and
a
I've
kid
seen
from
this,
Dallas.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen this in all these movies, TV shows, Rush Hour 3. And it's cool to finally come here, especially after a summer of pain. Yeah. And my parents came here recently, and I'm sure they thoroughly enjoyed it. I've also just kind of enjoyed this trip overall, where it's been very relaxed, right? We haven't really done much. So you're saying that's more your speed, where you're kind of going somewhere, meandering, hanging out, being kind of a local, Is there a list you have in mind where you're like, oh, I still kind of want to see these places, do these things? Like for me, I was like, oh, I wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. In the future, I do want to see, some of the other stuff, like maybe not all the wonders of the world, but just things that are very popular on TV, movies, because that's how I kind of grew inspiration. Is there something like that for you?
I wouldn't say things are not on the list, but I don't really have a list that I want to like check off. I feel like everything is on the list, and
everything?
I mean, things come to you. Like, I feel like we were very inspired to come to Paris because we watched that show, New Look. And I feel like it re-inspired me to think about Dior and Chanel in like a different way. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm very inspired by it when I read like biographies or autobiographies, and it's like, oh, I just want to go see those places, which I did take for granted when I was young. I think like my mom did such a good job educating us and showing us everything in history, but I didn't care then.
I guess that's a good question, where it's like, did you actually like traveling as a kid, or was there like summer stuff where your friends were hanging out and you were like, dang it, mom, dad, like I want to do this instead? Or even like winter break?
Yeah, definitely. I missed like Christmas, not because my family celebrates Christmas, but like my best friend is Christian and they celebrate Christmas, and I always wanted to be part of that, but we would always be traveling. So I did miss it, but I also saw the value in, what my mom was doing and putting our energy.
Did you really, as a kid? You understood like, oh, okay, I'm seeing different cultures and...
Yeah, I definitely understood that, which I think is what was great about what my mom did. I think, like, yes, planning like itineraries that were that packed were not ideal. I hated waking up. And there were times like my dad and I would just not go into the museum. We're like, we're going to get coconut water on the street.
Really?
We'll see you in 2 hours. Which was great because then my dad, and I got to hang out and do what we wanted. And my sister and my mom did what they wanted. But I did understand what she was doing. And I thought that was very awesome. And I think it's what has inspired me to become like more lax about seeing the world in a different way.
You mentioned kind of like how you've accepted it. Do you feel like you were a brat back then and now you kind of, you're like retroactively being like, oh, okay, I was pretty open at the time.
Probably.
Yeah.
I was always a brat.
There's no way. As a kid, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is. For example, we've taken a trip with Ishan a couple times and he's at the age where, is someone breaking in? He's at the age where you can kind of see the like, almost not shock, but just curiosity on his face when he sees different things where, he sees people talking in a certain way, being a certain way. And he's just like, he just stares. And he's like, oh, okay. Like he's slowly consuming it. And he's what, 4 or 5?
I thought it was amazing that he even recognized cigarettes in Italy. He was like, what are those brown and white things on the floor everywhere? It's like, how did you even realize that in America you don't see that and you see it in Italy?
Yeah. And even the signs, right, where he, where were we recently? Where he was like, "There's no smoking in here." he just recognized. I mean, that kid's something else, right?
Yeah,
as far as memory goes. But it is fun to see that curiosity in a youngin's face. I don't think I had that as much. I loved the simple things, right? I played with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, video games, but I never didn't not like traveling. I've always just not liked crowds. And so going back to that idea of, I feel like itineraries have changed a bit because it's gotten so crazy, right? The information of how to go see the Colosseum, how to go see the Eiffel Tower, where to take these pictures, you could easily find it, right? Especially now with all these AI question answering stuff where it's like, oh, hey, what's the best place to take a picture? There's TikTok, Instagram, and then you go there. And it's like, you're not unique. You're there with a million other people. You were there with us in Italy and you saw, right, at 7 a.m., all those crowds form and everyone's wearing these headsets to go see the Colosseum. I guess it just depends, right? You always see like the Asian families, right? They're on a mission, right? They came here for one thing and one thing specifically. And I do like that idea where these guys probably bust their butt, save money for this specifically just to travel and then do that. They don't, ball out on luxury goods. Well, the old Asian, right? The new Asian.
Yeah.
And I'm talking all Asian, right? Oriental, Indian. It's definitely shifted where my parents didn't ball out on luxury items, but if they felt like, oh, I could give this kid an experience, they'll do that. Now, it's like, oh shit, I need to upgrade this. I need to upgrade my phone. I need to upgrade.
They've done their duty. They put you out into the world.
But we are also doing that.
Yeah.
And then we're also doing the traveling part.
But we're dinks.
Dinks. Oh my gosh. It's okay. Before we go any further, dinks. Go ahead. You could tell
Dual
them.
income, no kids.
Yeah. Except right now we're neats.
No.
Is that appropriate? No income, no kids.
How's that?
Going back to the traveling thing to close it out a little bit, where you have a list, right? Are there places on that list? Like, I'm not just speaking new places, but you've been to Paris before. Mm-hmm. You've done it differently this time. Mm-hmm. You were still kind of a tour guide, right? Because I haven't seen any of this stuff before. Are there places where you want to go back as an adult and be like, oh, okay, I want to consume it like this? Because now, you drink, you understand why people are being a certain way, all that stuff. Is there places on your list now?
Yeah. I mean, I would always love to go to India. Like I want to go to India and do just like what people our age in India do. Go to bars, go to cool restaurants. Yeah, obviously shop. But I don't want to shop with like this agenda of having to go to Chandni Chowk and then go to South like South Delhi, and there's like this list of things you need to take back home. That seems like so stressful, which we're doing anyways. But
Probably more than once for you.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, scratching stuff like that outside of India, is there anything else? I'm mainly looking for an answer of like unique places that me and the people
Okay.
don't really know about, right? Like you've done some time in Morocco, you've done some time in Australia,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Is there somewhere that you would recommend someone of my travel caliber that you'd be like, oh, you should really go here because I think you'd like it a lot?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those places. I would say Morocco for sure. I only did Marrakesh, and I think you could do Marrakesh many times, and it can be a different experience. It's like very, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe Europe beats Mexico for someone who has not been to that side of the
Yeah.
world. So there's a lot to do. I think any place in Europe, like, yes, people know the big cities, but there's so many of these smaller cities. It's like the places that Europeans go to travel that we don't know about because we go to the big cities to travel.
Right.
There's so many small towns, and they're really fun and cute. And oh,
No, you're good. Keep going.
yeah. So I think just exploring more of those too. All you need to do is like get in a car in the south of France and just like drive.
Right. That's more easily said than like it comes down to the TikToks, right? If I see a TikTok that's like, oh, someone said to do that, okay.
Yeah, but we were fooled, weren't we?
The information about what?
Amalfi Coast. Like everyone on Instagram and social media is going to Amalfi Coast.
That's just not a family spot.
I don't think you and I would enjoy it. Based
Even
on
if
what
it was
we
just
know.
like resort life.
I feel like there's just too many other places where you can do resort life without having like the tiny roads with one car, and it's just like chaotic.
Overall, I wasn't the biggest fan
Exactly.
of Amalfi Coast, and I have been seeing. It's weird. Every summer, I feel like everyone goes to the same spots,
Exactly.
but it's also just like what we see. I'm sure these other places are still just as packed. I've seen a handful of people going to Paris. Not so much London. I feel like people have done London.
I think people have preconceived notions about London and Paris.
Why?
Like I think they just are biased against it. They're like, oh, we don't need to go to a big city, and it's like, no, it's actually so different. Like Houston versus Paris is so different.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's
Also, New York
massively
versus
different.
Paris is so different.
What do you feel like is the most popular travel spot that people are going to right now? And don't say and Mexico doesn't count, right? Like
No,
I
it's-
mean, like
yeah.
internationally.
I'd probably still say Positano. I think it's everywhere.
Okay. I remember like during one of the COVID summers that Iceland was
Oh
on
yeah,
everyone's story.
that's true.
And I was like, is that a young person's place?
Maybe.
Because I'm just going off of like the, stories, right? So stories is just consisted of what our friend group, our similar age range is going to. Anyways, going on to the piece of you traveling, but more so focusing on how it's kind of shaped you a bit, where when we do these things, right? When we go places, whether it's you being, I don't cancel me, whether it's you being the woman or you just being so well traveled, you have this lack of fear, right? Like we go somewhere, let's say we go out, right? Let's say in a couple hours we go out to some nightclub. You'll probably be like, ooh, cool, this is so fun. I mean, not the being out late part, but just as far as like being around people that you may not necessarily understand. You like hearing different languages, seeing different kind of people, and you feel safe around that. Versus myself, where I don't trust anything, right? I'm the biggest skeptic. Do you feel like your background in travel is the reason for that, or is it just something you've always been, just less fearful around kind of the unknown?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of my spirit. Like I am pretty free spirited,
Yeah.
and I also have made plenty of mistakes in travel, so I guess it teaches you like what to be aware of.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I
Well,
think
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you can only fully experience something if you're open to it. And so a little bit of like letting go of that fear allows you to like be more present.
Have you, well, what has been your, obviously if it's like traumatic, don't share that. We can cut this out. But what has been your kind of worst experience and learning from that? So then, people listening can
You
heed
know this,
cautions.
don't you?
Which one?
Actually, there's a few.
Okay. All right. I'm not saying I'm not saying losing a passport. I'm saying like actual
Oh.
fear of my life is about to end. I may get kidnapped.
Oh, there was a time my cousin Bria and we went to India alone a few times, and we made it a point to just go home by the time the sun sets. Just because like you don't know anything, especially in India.
Yeah.
Like we've heard so many horror stories. And so I think there was a time where we were at a restaurant and it was taking too long. We were in Jaipur, which is like pretty unfamiliar for us. And we had to go home. So we got a rickshaw and they were not taking the path that we knew. And they took like these back dirt roads and we had it mapped out. And I was just like holding on to her in the back of the rickshaw. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I got you into this. I don't know why I take responsibility for a lot of things. Usually I think if there's a mistake, it's my fault.
With other people, yeah, but carry on. You go. Okay, so you guys are scared for your life. Carry on.
Yeah. And so, I mean, luckily we have signal, so I'm like texting my sister probably because she's who I always panic button to.
Yeah.
And then,
Was she in India?
No, she was in America.
So she couldn't have done anything.
No, yeah. But
Okay.
I mean,
You were saying your goodbyes essentially.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like if we die, I love you.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I don't know. I mean, the ending is we made it home okay, But
Did y'all yell at him? What? Because you're saying he was off path.
yeah, so I just keep asking him like, "Hey, are you going near this place? Are you going the right way?" And he was like, "Yeah." But also in a rickshaw, like the rickshaw drivers in the front, they can't really hear you, So we're like trying to talk to him, and I'm just like holding Bria to be like, "We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay." I think you have to also talk it into existence, to like talk your own fear down.
Yeah.
We were fine, but it was very, very scary just because like India horror stories are crazy.
As free spirited, sometimes I get annoyed, right? Sometimes I get annoyed at you where I'm just like, bro, like we could be in danger right now and I need you to stop smiling. There are moments that I see like, oh shit, like she is on, right? On as far as like everyone is a threat, especially as a guy, right? You know that if something goes down, you have to engage. Mm-hmm. As a modern day guy, I'm saying you have to engage, right? You have to be the one to step up, be the one to yell. Like during that car thing, I felt like our life was in danger. So what day did we get here? Thursday? Well, anyways, yesterday or so, we were crossing the road and this car is trying to finish going all the way through the crosswalk, but people had already started crossing. So he almost ran over a bike and he kind of comes a little bit closer to the people, but he stops to yell at the bike. And me being the what is it called when you lose your temper fast?
Aggressive.
I'm not aggressive. Yeah, okay, a little bit of the aggressive, but
Short-tempered.
highly irritable person I am. I yelled at the car and I was just like, bro, just go. I mean, I'm saying it lightly for radio, but I said, bro, just go. Come on. Like you need to go all the way through so people can start crossing again. My biggest fear was like, we start walking, right? And he's still yelling at the bike and then he hits the gas and we die. And it's like dying in Paris. That's lame.
Sounds amazing.
No, that's horrible. But I saw this with you when someone bumped into you while we were buying tickets for the subway and you grasped your bag. And I was like, oh shit, nice. That's my boy. That's my boy. Don't. So that is fun to know where it's like, oh, okay. Like you still, even though you may seem low stress, you're still on, right? If something rubs you the wrong way, if someone bumps into you, if something happens, like, oh shit, danger, right? This person's not on the right path. Danger. I need to do something. So I guess, keeps me safe.
Exactly. I think you just have to be smart and aware, and then you can do what you want to do within the boundaries.
Do you know any like horror stories of like friends that you're like, oh shit, and keep it like
I don't think so.
Relatively horror, not horror.
Not really.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like you're the most traveled amongst your friends?
No, I think there's a few people who are like have that travel spirit, either like from childhood or just like self-induced.
Yeah, like Vishva, for example, where I don't think he traveled much growing up. I grew up with him.
Yeah.
And they're from Georgia, so that helps. Where you're already from he's from Georgia. He won the spelling, not the spelling bee. That's Gunal. He won the writing competition in Georgia. What? Yeah, the dude's a poet. He's literally Pratik Guhat. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he still writes poems, but I need to get him to publish those. I might have said too much. Moving on to, we are in Paris, like I keep on repeating. Big fashion world. Right now, as we record this, when this goes live, it'll be far over, but it's New York Fashion Week. Obviously, this comes to Paris because Paris is a big fashion capital of the world. And I will say, being here, I've been much more. I mean, look at me, bro. I'm wearing corduroy pants. Look at me. I have been much more inspired to be like, oh shit, like I need to step up my game. And growing up, I didn't really care, right? I kept it simple. With suits and stuff, I would try to put my on. But you yourself, everyone calls you the fashionista, right? I'm not trying to blow your head up too much, the fashionista is. Do you think that's from like just your artsy side, the traveling side?
Yeah.
Or where did that come from?
I think both. I think when you travel, you see different things and they inspire you. Like creativity comes from putting things that you see together. Nothing is new in the world. You just copy things and put it together in a different way.
Yeah. Being back in Paris, do you feel like so for people's knowledge that don't know, Isha had a clothing brand called Kriya, and you guys spent some time here, correct?
Yeah.
Was it for that project or?
We just did photo shoots here, yeah.
Just photo shoots?
Yeah.
There was no like actual work?
No.
Bro, what the? Okay, so do you feel like any of, I mean, you just said it, right? Where it's like, you're always consuming something.
Yeah.
And how its output comes out randomly. Being back in Paris, do you feel inspired to maybe create anything differently? Have you seen stuff where you're like, because we've walked into a couple stores and you've been like, bro, this is all from India. This is all from India.
Yeah.
Like, I could do this. I could do this. And it's true. Mm-hmm. You could easily pick it up and just be like, okay, I'm doing that. But like I've said on a previous episode is where you love those golden handcuffs, bro.
Yeah.
The corporate lifestyle has consumed you. Mm-hmm. But taking a step away from that, do you feel like, oh, okay, I kind of want to do something. I kind of want to do this. I kind of want to do that.
I would say no. Okay. I think probably recent layoff has something to do with it, where I feel like re-inspired in my career. And I know it sounds pretty lame, but I think I have a path to climb the corporate ladder. And I want to do that. I feel like it would be really fun. I would meet a lot of people. And then I think at that point is when I would feel like I would want to do something. And I think it also aligns with like having kids and raising them and stuff like that. Like I don't want to still like be building while I'm doing that, like building something from scratch. I want to have the golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
And then maybe later, like I told you, we will retire here and have a summer home here.
All right. Let's cut that
so
part.
We'll
Let's cut that part out. Ladies and gentlemen, with me, I have a chatgpt bot. We fully support the AI movement on this podcast. So if you've ever watched Coffee with Garan, throw him out the window. Because today we have 10 rapid fire questions we're going to ask our guests. And no, it's nothing like Coffee with Garan where it's like, oh, would you rather sleep with Shah Rukh Khan or Hrithik Roshan?
Why?
Okay. Firstly, because, we like to keep it appropriate here. So are you ready for the 10 rapid fire questions? I'm not going to lie. They're a little bit corny as I'm looking at them, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Family's probably going to
Fine.
listen to this. So here we go. Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Khichdi.
Favorite meal of all time?
Khichdi.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Be invisible.
Invisible.
I don't want people to talk to me all the time.
So if someone's talking to you, you wish you could just go invisible?
Done. It's like turning someone off. Oh.
Turning someone else off?
No, like a
That's
button.
murder. Oh, okay. Last song you listen to on repeat. If it's Taylor Swift, I'm going to end this podcast. Oh, it might be Taylor Swift, right?
No, it's Bollywood. The cutie lady
Okay. What song is that? Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster. Yes.
Okay. We need to go more rapid. What is a guilty pleasure TV show you love?
Is Gossip Girl a guilty pleasure?
Yeah. Have you watched it after
Yeah.
the initial watch? Okay. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
Mountain.
One word that best describes you.
Cool.
All right. All right. If you could instantly learn any language, what would it be?
French.
Why?
I've been trying on Duolingo.
Do you feel like people think French is the most romantic language?
Hindi is unbeatable.
You think Hindi? Oh, is it because of
Hindi
music?
is the sexiest thing in the world.
Because of music?
No.
You think
The
just
poetry,
language?
the words, everything. The meaning.
Okay. I have 5 more questions because I feel like we went through that pretty fast. What's your favorite app on your phone?
Right now, LinkedIn.
Oh my gosh, that's depressing. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
If you could time travel, what would you go to, the past or the future?
The past. I wish I was like 1920s.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
A hot shower. Wait, what do you think the answer is?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Cleaning up. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Coffee with Gar. I don't have any more questions for you. Do you have anything for me? I know we kept it relatively short, but I do appreciate you being our 50th, our special guest for the 50th episode. Do you have any questions for me, Madam?
Yeah. Where are we going next?
Do you think we're going to record a podcast everywhere we go?
No, okay, sorry, that's not my question. My question is, you asked me what was on my list to travel.
Uh-huh.
What's on your list?
Oh. So I think it would probably be post-wedding, especially because we have India later this year.
You think too logically.
Oh, what the fuck?
Like, don't tell me when you're going to go. I just asked where in the world you're going to go.
Probably some sand and water again. Some sand and water. I think it's been a while since we've done that. So, but as much as I shit on Cabo and Cancun, it's a solid spot. It's a solid equation, right? You go somewhere, it's all inclusive. The food isn't the greatest. Things are pretty well set up. I like to go places that isn't the biggest language barrier. I'm not saying that, they should know English, but I can still operate, right? You can go to Mexico half the time. It's so tourist centric that you go there and it's like, oh, okay. These guys understand me. They know what I
like
want.
Cabo.
They know what I want. Yeah. You've been one time, right? I think we might go to Cabo. Yeah. So I think Cabo, one place that I do want to go is Morocco. I think just the kind of like the aesthetic, the art, the dustiness, like the dark dustiness of it is something that kind of attracts me to it. One kind of random place. I've never wanted to go to like Japan. You know how that's kind of been on everyone's kick lately? Where it's like, oh, we need to go to Japan or Korea. Yeah. Never had anything like that.
But I feel like we don't really like Japanese food much. So it feels limiting.
It's like my yellow fever is very recent. So it's like,
way to
is this still called
say
that?
it.
Anyways, it's just like I've never had any inclination. I am kind of intrigued by. Everyone says, "Oh, Japan is so much more advanced
Logically.
technologically," but I don't know. Maybe there's like a South America in there and Africa. Never been to Africa.
Africa's cool.
I can see that.
Morocco's in Africa, by the way.
See, you see what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. If you told me like where's France and you just gave me a globe, I wouldn't know.
You would know.
Now I would know. Now I would know. I think now I would know. Especially playing that globe game. I think I got better at kind of knowing where some stuff is. But what was interesting is kind of your mom asked me like your mom asked me. I get you already know this, but this is more so for the listeners. Where's my favorite place to vacation? And I'm really liking London more and more. I can understand why you moved there. And I can understand why you were upset with me not making you. I didn't make you do anything. I can see how the shift of moving back from London you're back to Houston, right?
Yeah.
Houston, Austin, either or. Pick one.
And Dallas.
Yeah, pick a Texas state or city. How that's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because you're basically moving from New York back to, but just cleaner, better.
It's just different.
The
it's
accent
so
is
different.
just better.
Mm-hmm.
We were in London before this, and it's been the first time that I've gotten to go and be more on the young side. So my in-laws, not my in-laws, my in-laws? Is it my in-laws? You're my in-laws. Not you, but your people are my in-laws. My sister's in-laws, that's better.
Yes.
They live in London, and they've taken us out a couple times, and it's definitely been a lifestyle that I've never seen, because as much as we've gone as kids, we've always been in the burbs.
Mm-hmm.
We've always done small town things, go in, spend some time, go out. And they would try, right? They would try to take us to like the smaller big cities.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to like the fair and stuff, but that was it. But this time being in London, it really made me be like, oh, it's nice. I can see how a prolonged period may be like, oh, like this ain't that great. But for a short period of time, I liked it.
So we'll move there?
Anyways, do you have any other questions?
No other questions.
That's it? All right. Oh, here, one last toast, madame. Cheers.
Cheers to 50.
Cheers to 50.
Congrats.
With that all being said, one last time, look at my fit.
A Parisian.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Isha Patel, thank you for being here with us. And I will see you guys all next week. Don't forget to
Like, comment, and subscribe.